her in English, Inga PALSDOTTIR. She has been an integral part of branding and promotion for Iceland for over a decade and has been involved with all aspects of the tourism industry. She led successful changes for the brand as a place and destination, both in the crisis and in times of growth. This is really very important. She was the director for Visit Iceland until end of 2019. Visit Iceland was a destination marketing office and worked under the brand of Inspired by Iceland. She served on the board of North Atlantic Tourism Association until last year and was a part of the reference group for the Nordic Council of Ministers on Nordic branding and profiling from 2015 to 2019. Since this year, she has been advising places and destinations on strategy, branding, integrated marketing and crisis communication. She is also a senior advisor with Future Place Leadership, and she has written articles and been speaking in various occasions. And we have Inga with us in a pre-recorded message, but also full of content that I wish you to enjoy.
Hello, greetings from Iceland. My name is Inga PALSDOTTIR. I'm the former director for Visit Iceland. I'm now working as an advisor since in the beginning of this year for places and destinations. I'm going to share a little bit today what I've been doing in the past and what I think we can apply to the current crisis. I call my presentation Iceland Crisis Plus Sustainability because that's what we were doing. We were sort of moving us, the destination, from crisis mode to sustainability through the last 10 years. And I think also what I'm going to be sharing today is I'm going to start with Eyjafjallajökull, the volcano eruption that happened in the year 2010. And I think what we did at the time is something that shaped everything that I did in my former position and shaped all of the things that we did as a destination, but also working with our stakeholders. So I hope I can give you some points for the future in this. If we start in 2010, what happened is that Eyjafjallajökull, or the volcano eruption, started in April. And this is just before the largest season for Iceland at the time, the summer season. It didn't have winter tourism at this time. The summer season was the biggest. What was shown in the media was people with masks, people covered in ash, and showing a little bit of a different picture from what we are used to showing from Iceland. And you might remember this. This was actually affecting the flights all over Europe and North America. People were on the media trying to pronounce the unpronounceable name of the volcano, being irritated and so on. But you were also seeing beautiful pictures. But did we know that people would feel safe to travel to Iceland? And when would they be able to travel to Iceland? The reality for Iceland actually was that if you look at this picture, the ash cloud is actually going away from Iceland. The ash cloud is going to other parts of the world than actually the country, because the rest of the country was actually green. And what we and basically at this time around 10 to 15 farms were harmed. No people's life were harmed or anything like that, but animals were. But in reality, the normal life in Iceland continued while the rest of the world was being kept captive with the Eyjafjallajökull in this. But no volcano goes on forever. And when you're in a crisis, you have to look at what you can do. And as said before, this was for the tourism industry in Iceland. This was a huge thing because we were coming from the financial crisis and we thought that the industry was going to pick up and we thought it was going to be a 20% increase for the summer season. In reality, we were seeing 20% decrease at least for that. So what do you do actually when you're in crisis? Well, we joined forces and we started what we called Inspired by Iceland. We met on a regular basis. We met with a group of people, both from the public and private sector, every single morning. We were looking at the strategy, reassessing what we were doing, and in the end, we decided to start a campaign. And 120 stakeholders joined forces. in this. And we were doing something new. We were telling the story of Iceland through other people's stories. We asked famous people to talk about the story. We were using the social media for the first time in an effective way. We didn't even have a social media channel at the time. You can imagine. This is only 10 years ago, and we feel like we've had social media forever. And we were also having live streams from Iceland and telling positive stories. One of the biggest moments was when we asked actually the nation to share the video with us, the main promotional video, using the people power to tell the story of Iceland. And we managed to get 1/3 of the nation to take part. With all of this, we actually managed to get to end up in the end of the year with 0.1% increase. And everyone was so happy about the cooperation that we kept going. And if you look at what we did, is that we started in a crisis mode in 2010, and we continued. And I say that we continued from crisis towards sustainability, because we kept working together, all of us, public, private, and we reassessed our objectives every single year. We looked at what was happening, we looked at the trends, and we had strategy meetings every year. And we did campaigns that were in line with what was happening every time. So in 2010, crisis management, then we moved over and started talking about Iceland as a whole year destination to look at decreasing the seasonality. We moved over to increasing the commerce from travelers, kept talking about the Iceland as a whole year round, but we started talking about the seasonality as well, in the regions, not only in the main parts of Iceland, but all of the regions of Iceland, trying to make it more sustainable. Also, later, when we had more tourists and travelers coming to Iceland, we had different challenges and different trends. So we started talking about responsible travel behavior. We also started talking about maintain positive visitor behavior, and also positive attitude towards the tourism as an industry in Iceland, talking to the locals, how they were feeling about the industry and so on. So our KPIs very much removed from being just around saving sort of the industry into thinking about the sustainability. And at the end of the year 2019, we had more than 2.2 million travelers. Every year we did some campaigns that we thought was relevant, and they were all in line with the objectives that we had. Yeah, of course, we're doing a lot of, as a country, a lot of other management kind of projects as well for the country. But one of the focus that we had was on the campaigns and how we could use them in a positive way towards our objectives. Two of my favorite. Now I can't move the slides. Yeah. 3 of my favorite campaigns from those years is first of all, is the Iceland Academy that we started around 2015. It came out of a conversation with the stakeholders about, can we use the marketing in some way to affect the travelers' behavior? Because people were doing something that wasn't really appropriate. For example, how to make a safe selfie, not to stand on the cliff, and so on. How to drive safely in Iceland, how to travel responsibly, but also how to enjoy, how to go to the swimming pools, how to go to the events, and so on. So we got local people to help us in this, and we created a small academy that is still available online. One of the other ones is the Icelandic Pledge. Icelandic Pledge is something that I think relates both to the locals and the visitors, because we gathered the stakeholders together and we had a discussion about what are the main things. How can we use the marketing to go further, both in the management, in the marketing, and get a positive behavior. So we created this pledge, and we could have had many other things on it, but we thought those were something of both, with a bit of a humor, but also something that was relevant. So we asked people to take photos to die for, but without dying for them. We asked people to sleep under the stars, but stay within a campsite. And we also, in a humorous way, asked people when nature calls, not to answer to the nature. So a lot of the other things in this is that this was relevant to the locals as well, and they wanted to share this. And this is still online, and this is still used. And many other countries also related to this. And I know that both countries and places and destinations have took this up afterwards. So we were really proud of that. One of the last campaigns that I was involved with was the Kranavatn campaign. It was a challenge where we asked the travelers to drink the tap water. It was relating directly to the Sustainable Development Goals, in the sense that we were trying to reduce plastic waste. And I think it was so important at the time and still is. And this is something that destinations can apply and think about for the future. How can they use their marketing and their destinations to help out towards the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs? But if we relate what we did at the time in the crisis to today's crisis, of course, we're in a completely different crisis today. It wasn't about human lives at the time, but it was about the industry, and then it was about getting the message out. And so I think in a crisis mode, you should be thinking about bringing something good to the world, bring positive stories, bring something that makes us smile to people, be creative and thoughtful in that sense. One of the things that I've made an example of is that my friend, she has a whale watching company. And one of the things she did in the spring is that she invited people to live whale watching. And do you think about that? You know, this is of course in the hope that people will come in the future and enjoy whale watching. But what, you know, who would have thought you would enjoy that at home? Also create a crisis group, like we did in the beginning of our crisis, where we gathered people, 10 to 15 people, people from the industry and the public sector, and we sat down every single day for a few weeks, and we kept going for a few years together as well. So create a group that someone that is going to be with you, and you can trust the strategy, that you're all both in line with what is happening and so on. It will give you a good backbone in what you're doing. Also develop a platform. Many of us already have those platforms today, but if you don't have them, create them, because I think creating a platform that is not only for your local stakeholders, but is also for your tour operators, your airlines and so on, somewhere where they can get a comfort and discussion and think about the next steps with you. Networking is of importance, and I think what you're doing today, meeting, sharing our knowledge, sharing what we've been going through the years, sharing what we're doing today, I think is so important. But I think one of the things that might happen in the future is that we might see more kind of alliances between places and destinations. When you're in crisis, you start working together, so something good might come out of that. If I look at the reality that is ahead of us, and I think all of the things that we had and we were discussing before COVID-19, it's all going to be there. And it's all something that we will still have the sustainability there. And I think we will even have it more, like I say, new reality with sustainability at heart. I think it's going to be closer to us. Because as we look at the sort of the balance between locals and visitors in our destinations, I think in a way that it's going to be a lot about care, that you show that you care both for the visitors and locals, that you do actions that show that. And if you do that, because it's not going to be like that we're all going to be travel a lot. We're going to be very selective about where we're going. But I think if we show people that we care, we're going to get the power of the people, in the sense that we are harnessing the power of people, and they will be wanting to share stories of your destination and want to be a part of your destination. And again, I think the SDG goals are something of importance, and I recommend looking at them and looking at what your destination can have a focus on. Pick something out that is symbolic in that sense. Health and hygiene and safety is going to be important, as all of you know, but make it clear information and be relevant in that sense. Because, as an example, if you don't have it in all of the languages, it might be some kind of communication problems and so on. Also, effective and organized stakeholders engagement. Engage your stakeholders, be a part of them. Like I said in my earlier slide, get them to be a part of what you're doing. and get organized. And that's very much links to destination management and destination marketing, to keep that together. In that sense, it's about following the trends. It's about making KPIs that are relevant to all of the things that I've mentioned today, thinking about the sustainability, the stakeholders, the safety, and so on. It's not just about the volume at all. It's about so much more, but also to use the marketing in a positive way in that sense. And that brings me to the last point in this, is that create something symbolic to your visitors and locals, like the pledge. I think it was very symbolic and something that everyone related to. I don't have the idea for you, but I'm sure you have a lot of them. At last, I mean, in all of this and through everything that we've been through all the crises, and that relates to today's crisis, everything that I've been mentioning today is about resilience, adaptability, and patience. We have no idea how the future is going to be, but together I think we are stronger, and working inside of our destinations with our stakeholders, working with the stakeholders that are aligned with our destinations is important, and together to do something good. But in my mind, it's a lot to keep up the joy and to keep up the smile, because we need to be there for our stakeholders for the future. As hard as it can be, I think that's going to be our strongest strength in that sense. So I say thank you so much, and be safe, everyone. And please contact me with any questions that you have, and I look forward to spend the day with you. Thank you.